Action, cults, multiple storylines, and some humor. The Eminence in Shadow Season 1 gave it all, with a main character that would be like any of us if we were in a new world of magic, trying to be an anti hero in the shadows. With the recent start of Season 2 bringing back so many storylines, it's time to recap Season 1 of this crazy anime. Let's get into it. Our main character, Kagano, made sure to be an average student and teen in the day, but at night, he called himself the stylish ruffian slayer, even saving one of his classmates from kidnappers, someone he called an NPC, straight to their face. He trained in different fighting styles to become the Shadow of Eminence, but it was never enough. He wanted so much strength, enough to live through a nuclear explosion. So he tried training harder in hopes to unlock powers like flying. And instead of flying, he jumped and was hit by a truck, thus ending his life as Kagano. But I guess our main character is lucky because he was reborn into a world of magic, to a family with a history of producing dark nights. One day, after fighting some bandits, he stumbles upon a mysterious rotting blob that with his powers transforms back into a female elf he names Alpha, the first to join the Shadow Garden, an organization dedicated to bringing an end to secretive cult of Diablos. This time, instead of calling himself a stylish ruffian slayer, he calls himself Shadow, the leader of Shadow Garden, all of which he has made up in his mind, but it happens to be real. The first time we get to see the Shadow Garden at work is when Sid's older sister, Claire, is kidnapped days before attending the Midgar Academy for Dark Knights in the royal capital. She's kidnapped by Alba, a member of the cult of Diablos. We get to see Sid's luck again when he throws a pen at a map and misses where he was aiming for, but lands in the exact place where the cult had his sister. With Shadow Garden growing in numbers, Sid, as Shadow, defeats her kidnapper. Once things go back to normal, the members of Shadow Garden part ways with Sid so they can spread out and work on a global scale to defeat the cult of Diablos. Now that Sid is 15, it is time for him to attend Midgar Academy, where he plans to maintain a low profile. But this goal of his becomes difficult when he loses a bet with his friends and has to confess his feelings, which are actually all play to seem basic, to Alexia, a popular princess. To his surprise, she agrees to date him, but it is because of her own motives, including avoiding an arranged engagement to Zenon Griffey. This does not work with Sid's plan to be a basic character, but eventually she breaks up with him, and strangely goes missing the next day. Sid is initially questioned and beaten for her absence, but there is no evidence, so he is later freed. With 114 new mobilized Shadow Garden members, Sid was able to find Alexia's kidnapper Otako, a crazy scientist working for the cult of Diablos. But he is not the true mind behind this. Zenon was, who, let's not forget, was Alexia's future fiancé. So the cult's intention was to acquire Alexia's royal demon blood to resurrect the demon in the modern day. Even though Zenon took power-enhancing pills provided by the cult, Shadow was able to defeat him by going nuclear and creating a huge explosion, which was one of his biggest goals. We find out that the cult has created the Children of Diablos, a group of orphans and people that are unknown, that are brainwashed into thinking they are Shadow Garden. They use these members to confuse the public and take the academy hostage to acquire a pendant that was found after the fight between Zenon and Shadow. This, of course, excites Sid, because who doesn't love those types of moments in games and shows? The cult uses an artifact to reduce the students' magical powers and put the lives of students at risk, including Princess Rose, a student Sid deems as a main character in this story. And he wasn't going to let her just die, so he runs in front of a sword before she is struck. Now luckily, he has the powers and techniques, so even though they all think he died, he was perfectly fine. The real Shadow Garden arrives to help the academy and defeat the cult members behind this. Sherry, a student that has been researching the pendant, uses it to nullify the cult's artifact, so the students begin to fight back, and the mastermind in knight attire sets the building on fire and tries to escape. Sid, as Shadow, fights Lutheran, the assistant principal of the academy, because it turns out he was the man in the knight attire and behind the whole hostage situation in order to get the pendant. Sherry, who happens to be the adopted daughter of Lutheran, sees Shadow kill him. With all the damage done, the school decides to close for a summer break, and Sid decides to stay in the dorms during this time. We later see that Sherry decides to study abroad to learn more about Shadow and get her revenge, which is so messed up because Lutheran killed her mother for his own selfish reasons, and she literally witnessed it but never put the pieces together, so her revenge is not directed at the right person. Rose, who has a little crush on Sid since he risked his life to save her, has Sid accompany her to the sacred land of Lindworm. Without Sid knowing, she enters him into the Goddess Trials, a battle that happens once a year where people can fight ancient warriors, but only if they are deemed worthy. When called to the arena, Sid had to decide between either going as himself, but risking a strong warrior rising, thus showing his true strength, or running away. He chooses to use magic to distract everyone and arrived as Shadow, a way to confuse everyone and maintain his basic Sid character. The extremely powerful Aurora, the Witch of Calamity, answered the fight request, which shows that Shadow is indeed very powerful. After he wins the battle, 2 doors appear, one of which continues to follow him around even after he left the arena, so he decides to enter it. The other door appears in the arena, which Alpha, Delta, and some more Secret Guard members take the new Archbishop Jake and Natsume, a popular writer that also happens to be Beta, a member of the Shadow Garden. Rose and Alexia also jump in right before it closes, and they are all taken to the sanctuary. We see that Alpha resembles the great knight Olivier, one of the few children to survive the experiments of the cult of Diablos. We also find out why there's only 12 of the highest cult members. They use the cells of Diablos to create pills that increase power and make them immortal, but they can only produce 12 a year, and it has to be taken once a year. Jake, who turned out to be one of the 12 highest cult members, is defeated by Shadow, allowing him and Aurora to exit the sanctuary and freeing her spirit. We find out that Rose has stabbed her new fiancé, Lord Perv. Turns out, he has been controlling her father like a puppet by putting him under a spell. She is on the run and is beginning to be possessed, which is like being turned into a blob how Alpha was in the beginning. As she is wandering underground, she hears Shadow playing the piano. He gives her power and heals her of her possession so she can continue to fight the cult. Sid creates a persona, Mundane Man, and has a clay mask and magic change the look of his face. His goal is to have no one suspect he could be a powerful fighter and then shock everyone. He beats many strong opponents, including Iris, the older sister of Alexia, and known as one of the best swordsmen, and the creator of a group of trusted knights, the Crimson Order. Rose shows up at the festival and asks her father for forgiveness before she stabs him through the heart. Lord Perv commands his security, which are cult members, to capture her. Just before Rose can kill herself, Mundane Man breaks through the viewer's glass and reveals himself as Shadow, which I was just so pumped for. It is the most pumped moment. With all the other security taken care of by Shadow Garden, Lord Perv asks for anyone to take care of Shadow while he runs off. Beatrix, the goddess of war, that was there to look for an elf that looks like her, Alpha, offers to fight Shadow because she is intrigued by his power. Being furious that she was beat by Mundane Man and that he was actually Shadow, Iris grabs the Mithril Blade that has ancient ruins and is a powerful artifact weapon and joins the fight. An epic fight scene with Iris and Beatrix both fighting Shadow simultaneously. They are both defeated and left standing dumbfounded when Shadow shows off his power by putting a magic bubble around the entire city as if he was going to go nuclear again. But instead, he laughs and vanishes. Rose, not knowing where to go, decides to take up Alpha's offer and fight alongside the Shadow Garden. We see their headquarters located in the ancient capital Alexandria. She was told that she must cast away her name and everything from her past. She is now Shadow Garden 666. We also see Beatrix leaving town because she couldn't find the elf that looked like her. The main character had so much luck in this season that I'm curious to see if it will be addressed in season 2. I mean, even Alexia, with her hard exterior, wanted to actually date him after the kidnapping situation was settled. Oh, and let's not forget, he has 2 females, including the goddess Beatrix, holding on to burger wrappers from a burger he gave them. And then there's Sherry, who has the guts to ask Alexia if her and Sid are still an item because she has a little crush on him as well. Our main character would definitely make a good playboy, but he's not even interested. He'd rather live a basic life and then secretly be the Shadow in Eminence. There's so many characters and storylines that I can't wait to see in season 2. Let me know in the comments who your favorite character is. I'm not gonna lie, I need to know more about Delta, the vicious fighting member of Shadow Garden, and I love Alexia's rough around the edges character. The fact that she tried to kill Sid when he turned her down is crazy. So technically, she's not a killer, but only because he has the techniques and skills to avoid a powerful blow. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I can't wait to hear from you guys about this anime. But for now, I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye!